Good morning, everybody. My name is Doug Thor, and I'm here to talk to you about a fire and life safety inspection that I performed at the Painfield Fire Department at 10630 36th Place West in Everett, Washington. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the building. The building is a 14,000 square foot Type 2 construction fire station that has a couple of different occupancy classifications per the Snohomish County Fire Marshal's Office. It has an assembly section of an A1 occupancy. It has some dorm rooms, which is an R2 occupancy, business space, and as well as combustible S1 for just storage, and then S2, which is a special combustible storage such as apparatus bays and garage type situations. So I first went in there and met with Fire Chief Joshua Cole and told him what I was doing, and he was more than willing to allow me to do this, and in fact gave me some paperwork and information that told me a little bit about the building. So I naturally started my inspection at the front entrance, and right inside the door there was an annunciator panel that showed that the system was working normal, but that is great for emergency responding personnel to immediately take a look and see where the problem is located within the building before moving and investigating further. Also, there was smoke detectors mounted on the ceiling, which is in compliance with NFPA 72 that the detectors are supposed to be within 36 inches of the ceiling. It was this way throughout the entire building. And then you also see that they had a different type of emergency lighting backup system. It was actually integrated into the foyer lighting. A lot of times you'll see them, battery backup bulbs, integrated into the emergency exit lighting that comes on when the power goes out. However, this lighting was integrated into the regular foyer lighting, and hard to see in the picture, but there is a plate up there on the ceiling that says press to touch or to test, and when you press it, the additional lights go on. So that is the battery backup lighting emergency system that they have to eliminate their exits in the event of lost power. I then made my way over to the sprinkler riser room, but quickly on my way there, in this photo you see some stairs. That's just an exterior stairway that goes up to a big storage area, and up there is where the main fire alarm panel was. I looked at that, said system's running normal. It was a good clean room, plenty of space to work around the panel, and the inspection tag was up to date. I believe it was done in May of this last year. So then I made my way back down the stairs, and outside here in that door you see is a sprinkler riser room. But outside the sprinkler riser room you can see that there is a fire hydrant. That fire hydrant supplies 1,500 plus gallons per minute. In the middle behind the bollard is an FDC with a 5-inch storage connection, and then over to the right next to the other bollard is a post indicating valve that is locked in the open position. Made my way into the sprinkler riser room and observed that it is a wet system for the entire building, and the way I could tell that was because it said it was a wet system, but also like the gauges were of relatively equal pressures, indicating that the whole system was full of water. It lacked a jockey pump, it lacked a compressor, and it also lacked the service ports on the outside, which would the testing company would use once a year to test the system. So those are a couple things that gave me the clue that and confirmed that it was a wet system. This is just a service tag. There was 10 or 12 service history tags attached together, which indicates that they have a good system and history of servicing and maintenance of the system. Right here also to the left of the system was on the wall mounted spare sprinkler heads for replacement, and they had various ones pendant. wall mounted and different frangible bulbs. There was 2 colors in there. There was a red frangible bulb and a blue frangible bulb, which I will talk about later as I found where the different applications were in the fire station. I continued my walk through the fire station, and clearly throughout the place were the exterior exit doors, and along all exterior exit doors there were manual pull stations and exit lighting that illuminated that it was an exit. Let's see. Per NFPA 72, there is required that the manual pull stations be within 5 feet of all exterior exits and between 44 and 48 inches off of the ground. Now, as I was walking through the bay, this is where some of the stuff kind of got interesting because it is a wet system and the bay is essentially uninsulated and lots of doors that are open and expose the whole thing to the elements. They have a heating system in there, and let's see here, 15-second delay. Okay, here it is. A heating system, it needs to be in there in a wet system in these type of situations to ensure that you maintain a temperature at or above 40 degrees, and that's required by NFPA 13 to prevent freezing of those systems. So in the first picture, you see a long tube in between the lights, and that is actually an entire heating element that runs the length of the system in between the apparatus bays, and that is what heats the apparatus bay and maintains it above 40 degrees to prevent it from overheating. Now you'll see on the right there's like a piece of sheet metal that hangs down off of a chain, and what that is doing is that's kind of guarding protecting the frangible bulb on the sprinkler head that's right there, and those are installed throughout the bay because the ambient heat from the heater, we don't want it to trip the heads. Here's a picture of the red bulbs that were throughout the station. Those pop off at between 155 and 165 degrees Fahrenheit. And then the blue bulbs, which were out in the apparatus bay. Now, talking with the chief, the blue bulbs pop off at 250 degrees. And a couple of reasons are when you have a high ceiling situation like they do in there, the ambient heat that gathers up at the top can get pretty hot at times. So you want a higher temperature bulb because of the threat of the ambient heat reaching temperatures that might trigger some of the frangible bulbs at lower temperatures, such as the red ones. So they're blue in the apparatus bay. Another thing was because of the proximity to the heaters in there, don't want them to trip. And then the ARF trucks that move in and out of there have their exhaust exiting from the roof, and when they're pulling in and out of the bays and through the bays, it comes in close proximity of the sprinkler heads. So those are the 3 reasons that he gave as to why they are blue frangible bulbs in the apparatus bay. You see in the center here, there's a long black tube at the top. It's hard to see, but way up top there, that is a pipe that has sprinkler heads, pennant style, coming out the top of it. And also note that there are no detectors up in the ceiling. And per NFPA 72 and the International Building Code, you are not required to have detectors up in the ceiling if you have installed sprinkler system up there. So that was something that I noted, that I learned. Here's a generator. This is just a backup generator that keeps the heat running when the temperature or the power goes off, and so we can keep the heater going mostly in freezing temperatures to keep the pipes from freezing, as well as it keeps other systems throughout the department running. And throughout the fire station, we found many 2A10BC dry chem extinguishers, and these extinguishers were all serviced within the last year. Again, it was back in May, I think, when the alarm panel also was serviced, since they probably have the same company do it. These are all mounted in cabinets or on hangers, and they are per code not to be more than the cabinets not to be more than 60 inches from the top of the cabinet off the ground, or if it's on a hanger, it can't be more than 60 inches from the top of the extinguisher off the ground. Now, this was interesting. At this station, we have FAA required credentialed security, and so certain parts of the station you can't be in without credentials, or if you are there, you're escorted. However, this emergency exit, as you see, exits onto the air side into a secure area. So they needed to balance security with safety, and this is called a delayed access panic hardware door, and NFPA 101. The hardware delays the opening for 15 seconds while sounding an audible alarm, and it will then open after that. But what that does, that prevents people from going out of it initially for security access. However, in an emergency, they press it, the alarm will go off, but then it will open and they can exit out there to safety. This is just a photo of a dorm room. Interesting about these dorm rooms is the windows, they open, but they're for egress only. They're not variable opening for ventilation. It's just on a loose hinge, and when you open it, it just opens all the way because we use more of an HVAC system for the climate control in there rather than windows. But you need secondary means of egress to get out. So it shows that. And then, you know, at the end there, some of the recommended actions is I reminded the chief of the sprinkler system and reconfirmed that he had a scheduled service coming out. And then I suggested some housekeeping in the riser room. The riser room, you're supposed to keep clear 4 feet all the way around the sprinkler riser room. The room's only about 6 feet wide, and there was a couple of things in there that were just kind of found their way in there for storage. And so I'm pretty sure that when I head back to work, I'll be tasked with that project of removing that stuff. And then I also did see that there was one set of emergency backup lighting that failed when I pressed the test button, and so the chief was going to delegate and start a work order in the maintenance division for the replacement for that. So, in conclusion, the fire station is current and up to date with all of its fire and life safety inspections. All systems have been maintained, tested, and appear to be in a good working order. The leadership was receptive to the corrections and the suggestions that I brought to them. And, you know, as a fire department and a public business, it's important to set the standard of compliance with the NFPA fire and life safety codes that we as a department enforce to the surrounding businesses in our jurisdiction. And the Painfield Fire Department, I believe, is doing an exemplary job of that. So if you have any questions or concerns, you can email me through my student email account or reach out to me via text for some of you. But I thank you again for the opportunity to do this. And prior to me leaving, I talked to Chief Cole again, and I thanked him again just for the opportunity to make this a good learning experience for me. And he appreciated it because, look, I found a couple of issues that can be resolved along the way. So it was a win-win for everybody. I appreciate you guys, and thank you for your time.